The madness is almost here, and Texas Tech is primed for a high seed in the NCAA Tournament. In today's video, we'll look at the latest bracketology projections for your Red Raiders from multiple sites, including, hey, where does ESPN, CBS, Fox, JBR, and others have Texas Tech projected right now heading into the Big 12 tournament, as well as the latest net and, well, we're going to look at KenPom if you know anything about these videos. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. Appreciate y'all tuning in to all the videos here on the channel. It has been a uber successful month, and we're just getting started here on the most interactive and most subscribed to Texas Tech YouTube channel and the Back to 12 podcast channel. All right, let's jump right into it. And of course, we're going to lay the groundwork here, and we're going to look at KenPom. Texas Tech still number 7. According to KenPom, in terms of where they rank nationally. A top 7 offense are the Red Raiders, and they have a top 27 defense. This still fits the criteria to be a national champion, according to KenPom, dating all the way back to 2002. You can see that's when his rating started back then. Texas Tech is in prime position and currently one of 9 schools that meet that criteria in terms of winning a national championship, and that criteria it's a top 21 offensive rating and a top 32 defensive rating. Obviously, Texas Tech meets the criteria pretty handily on the offensive side while being a little bit closer to the edge of it when it comes to the defensive side. Now, we go over and we look at the net. This is obviously something that the committee will be looking a vast amount at in terms of, okay, where does Texas Tech rank here when it's all said and done? So Texas Tech, unfortunately, if we're going to talk about the positives here on the channel, we've got to talk about the negatives as well. They are the only team in the top 21 of KenPom with a Q3 loss. That's tough, okay? The closest team to them in the net rankings and on KenPom is Clemson when it comes to a quad 3 loss. However, Texas Tech is one of only really a handful of teams in the country that has 7 quad 1 road victories. That is huge for the Red Raiders when it comes down to it. Okay, so you have that. You look at where Texas Tech is in the net. That kind of lays the groundwork for where Texas Tech is in terms of everywhere else that we're going to look at. And some of these have changed, some of them haven't. But overall, this video is for more really the groundwork going into the Big 12 tournament, because I think that that's really important for Texas Tech right now in the sense of, are they going to win the Big 12 tournament? I don't know, and neither do you, but they have a good chance. And if they do, hey, that's going to increase their likelihood of being a 2 seed. And that's not completely off the table as of right now. All right, we're going to start with ESPN first. It's on your screen right now. You can see that Texas Tech is a projected 2 seed, according to Joe Lunardi, over on ESPN in the West region, which will be played in San Francisco in terms of the regional final. Now, when you look at this, it says Lubbock. I would love for Texas Tech to be playing this regional in Lubbock. That's not the case. It looks like it's a sorting error by ESPN in terms of, okay, the first round for Florida would be in Gainesville. That's where they play at home, so on and so forth. You can see it across the board. That would actually be in Wichita, okay? So Texas Tech, most likely scenario for the Red Raiders, regardless of where they're seated, whether it's a 2 or a 3, and we'll break down where they're more likely to be seated here in a minute, they're going to more than likely be playing in Wichita or Denver. This one would be in Wichita. Don't pay attention to that Lubbock, even though I think we would all absolutely love Texas Tech to be playing the first round of the NCAA tournament in Lubbock. It's just not going to happen. Now we go over to CBS, and again, positives and negatives. We're not just going to, sugarcoat shit here on the channel. We'll give you every aspect of things in terms of how people positively view the Red Raiders or negatively view the Red Raiders. And I don't think Jerry Palm negatively views the Red Raiders since he has them as a 3 seed. As you can see, CBS Sports here. He has been one of the lower bracketologists when it comes to Texas Tech this year, however. And he actually, when you look at this, we'll scroll down a little bit. He has the Red Raiders as the final 3 seed. That I don't agree with. I don't know how you can have Wisconsin ahead of Texas Tech, let alone Iowa State either on that front. St. John's, okay, whatever. A&M even, I've got a little bit of a qualm with. But also at the same time, I know that Jerry Palm really, really looks at this category right here in terms of the non-conference strength of schedule. Texas Tech is by far the worst of the top 3 seeds when it comes to that. So you go back up here, Texas Tech again, once again in the West region. I wouldn't mind this region at all, quite honestly. I mean, you have Florida, St. Mary's, and New Mexico are 2 great teams at the 8 and 9. Ole Miss is the 5, feels kind of weak in my opinion. I would actually pick Drake to beat them. Purdue against High Point, I wouldn't be surprised if High Point beat Purdue. VCU against Missouri, I wouldn't be surprised if VCU beat Missouri there. I think Texas Tech matches up well against UNCW. You also have Illinois against West Virginia, and Texas A&M, I think, is the weakest 2 seed when you look across the bracket. Then we go over to JBR. Okay, you can see it on your screen right now. JBR has the Red Raiders as the top 3 seed, and this is one of my favorite bracketologists over on Twitter. Highly recommend following them. They do a great job of explaining their thought process, and honestly, just kind of like us here on the channel, when they're wrong, they're wrong. They admit it, and it's really refreshing to see because sometimes these bracketologists don't admit when they're wrong. JBR is not one of those guys. He is absolutely sensational when it comes down to it. So again, you look at this, and I think the interesting part is, and I need to, hands up for accountability here. I don't think I gave enough credence to Kentucky being in the mix for the final 2 seed there. They have done a phenomenal job in terms of everything that they have on their resume. Kentucky has 10 quad 1 victories in the toughest league in America in the SEC. They're 21-10. That is a lot of losses. There's no doubt about it, but they have been perfect damn near in terms of everything in the quad 3, quad 4, they're 10-0 there. And in quad 2, they're 1-1. But 10 wins in quad 1 is absolutely sensational by Mark Pope's squad out there in Lexington. So I think when it comes down to it, I think there's actually 4 teams in the mix for that final 2 seed. I think you have to give the edge to St. John's right now, just because, again, if they win the Big East regular season and Big East postseason title, they deserve the 8th seed. They just have a very clean resume, and Rick Pitino, there is a factor there. How much, I don't know. But I think Texas Tech is firmly in the mix. Kentucky is as well, and Texas A&M to a degree as well. Texas A&M goes on a run in the SEC tournament, just like if Kentucky does too. It would not shock me at all if either the Wildcats or the Aggies get that last 2 seed, specifically if St. John's doesn't win the Big East tournament. Now, if Texas Tech wins the Big 12 tournament, I think that they get the 8th seed in terms of the 8th overall seed in the NCAA tournament. And then the last 2 seed mentioned. All right, we go and we look at NKY bracket guy. You can see him on your screen right there. He also has Texas Tech, according to his updated bracket as of this morning, as the final 2 seed. So you look at that. That's a nice little range we saw there in terms of, we know Texas Tech is either going to be a 2 or a 3. I think it's more than likely, as I get back, in terms of on the screen here, I think it's more likely, as we've got one more bracketology site to look at. Tech is the 3. I think that's where they're going to end up. I think that they're going to be the number 1 or at worst number 2 overall 3 seed. So either the 9th overall seed or the 10th overall seed in the entire NCAA tournament. Pretty damn good considering Grant McCassin and crew were picked to finish 7th in the Big 12 and they actually finished 2nd, right? So you have that aspect of it. It's very interesting to see where everything goes. I mentioned we have one more to look at in terms of where the seeding goes, and that is actually Fox Sports. They don't have a bracket or anything, but they do have this, the Red Raiders as the top 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, with St. John's getting that final 2 seed. And to be honest with you, again, I think that's probably where we're looking at right now. I think I didn't give enough credence, as I mentioned just a minute ago, to Kentucky being in the mix for that final 2 seed. But when I think it's all said and done, it's either going to be St. John's or Texas Tech taking that final 2 seed. And I think right now, I think it's close to a coin flip. But I'll tell you right now, if St. John's wins the Big East tournament, they're going to get that final 2 seed. I don't even know if it matters if Texas Tech wins the Big 12 tournament, because St. John's would not only be the postseason Big East champs, but they'd also be the regular season champs where they won the league by 3 games. Okay? Again, great team. We're nitpicking here all of the teams we're talking about on the 2 and 3 lines are great teams, and it wouldn't shock me if any of them make the Final Four. But Texas Tech is firmly in that position. And when you look at everything from the standpoint of, okay, I'm thinking to myself, where does Texas Tech go in terms of the odds to win the national title, right? And that's the thing that kind of stands out to me from the standpoint of, okay, where does Vegas have Texas Tech ranked in terms of everything, right? From the standpoint of odds. And I'm glad you asked. We'll pull up the official sports book of the Back to 12 podcast in BetUS. It's on your screen right now. Texas Tech has the 9th best odds to win the national title, according to BetUS, at plus 3,500. Okay. Again, you can go over to BetUS for March Madness and use the promo code YouTube150 to get a first-time deposit match of 150%. Again, all you have to do is use the promo code YouTube150 to get a 150% deposit match when you use the code YouTube150. Appreciate BetUS being the official sports book of the Back to 12 podcast during the month of March. And hey, you know, when you look at everything, this is a pretty good place to be, right? Like BetUS, that's a pretty damn good offer. So, of course, as I always say, and BetUS believes in it, I believe in it as well. Please bet responsibly, but that is where the Red Raiders are at right now, heading into this first wave of the Big 12 tournament, okay? Again, over on BetUS, the official sportsbook of the Back to 12 podcast for the month of March, they are the 10th favorite. They have the 10th best odds, I should say, to win the national title. Do I agree with that? Yeah, I think Texas Tech actually has a really solid chance to do it in terms of, top 10 for sure. But in terms of the seeding right now, the Red Raiders are on that fringe 2 line with, I think, the most likely outcome being the 3 after some of these events have taken place, this past weekend, over the past 24 hours. Texas Tech is in a really good spot and goes into Kansas City with the potential not only to win the Big 12 tournament, but also secure that final 2 seed in March Madness. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Appreciate everybody tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell to be a part of the largest group of Texas Tech fans on YouTube, over 11,600 strong. Shoot, we may hit 12,000 by the end of the month. That's the pace right now. If you want to join that community, all you got to do, again, like the video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell for 100% free Texas Tech content all year long right here on the Back to 12 podcast channel. And as always, stay safe and Recom Tech.